Slaying.
Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Jacoby Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem. Shalom, family. Shalom, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Hope you're having a great day today. So what do you all think about, and I'm not really covering this here, but I'm just curious. What do you all think about what's happening over there in Ukraine and Russia? Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. I'm just saying. I ain't glorying in nothing. I'm just saying your redemption draweth nigh. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying nothing else. Your redemption draweth nigh. And guess what? Where all them haters at? I'm just saying, I hear crickets today. Y'all hear the crickets? I hear crickets today. Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. I'm just saying. But let's move on, because here's the thing. If you haven't gotten my book, I recommend that you get it, because in order to understand what's happening, not only do you have to understand who the people are, you got to understand the people's culture, traditions, all these things, right? And so today we're going to talk about what we were really called. Now, I knew this, but this is the first time I saw at least one evidence that supports what we were called. Now, one of the other things I've been looking for, and I haven't had luck at it yet, and maybe you all, maybe you all found something, is to, I'm not convinced, just me. I'm not convinced that we were known as Israel or Yasharal, but hey, I can't find any evidence of that. But anyway, we weren't called Jews. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And in my book, I cover a lot of that stuff and about the conspiracy, about Psalm 83, and how all of that fits in with what's happening. And that's the other thing too. Just let me go off on a tangent for a little bit. Is that the Gentiles still waiting for the rapture, right? They're still waiting for Armageddon. The Gentiles are being set up for a great deception. I'm just saying, because they don't know who the people are. They don't understand the book, which is our book. If you didn't know Gentile, just letting you know that the Bible is a Israelite book, which is a African book. I'm just telling you. Everybody you see in that Bible are black folks, Negroes. Okay, you don't have to believe me. Well, most of them, let's say that. You got some Romans in there who obviously not, right? You got some Edomites in there who obviously not. You got some other ones who not, but you know what I'm saying. So we are not Jews. Well, Jacob, I thought you said we're Jews. All of your teachings, you say we're Jews. Yeah, we're known as Jews or black Jews or Hebrew Israelites, right? They throw a bunch of terms at us. But it's their translations, it's their transliterations, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Hey, Sister E, shout out to my Sister E. And I like your hair, Sister E. I like the cut. So we're not Jews. So transliteration is the process of converting words or text from one writing system into another while aiming to preserve what? The original pronunciation as closely as possible. So we're dealing with how the words sound. So of course we went through different languages. And this is why we have all of these different pronunciations from Jew, Judah, Yahudah, Yahudi, all this stuff, right? And, even in the Israelite community, what we got, right? We got Yawahashi, we got Yahweh, you know what I'm saying? We got a whole bunch of made up stuff. But there's one thing that a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to go back to the African Israelite language, because guess what? Hebrew is what? An Afrocentric language. Come on now, that's 101 in linguistics. That Hebrew is an Afrocentric language. But yet we go to what we call Hebrew, which is more in line with modern Hebrew, which is more in line with the Masoretes. I'm just saying, it's like, because we were separated and our culture was stolen, our language was stolen, our identity was stolen, everything about us was stolen, our traditions were stolen and modified. So it's like when we're waking up and we're trying to come back to the original, because everybody be talking about going back to the original, they go back to them folks in the Middle East. They go back to modern Hebrew. And they think they're telling us something and teaching us something and speaking something. I'm just saying, I don't care, because I know we just finding our way, right? But I really don't know how you get, well, anyway, yeah, I really don't know how you get to Yawahashi. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know how you get Yawahashi out of anything. I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, what? But it ain't my problem, right? I mean, that's you. You want to do that? That's fine. But I'm just saying, even from the modern Hebrew, I don't see how you get to Yawahashi. Even when you get to Paleo Hebrew, I don't see how you get to Yawahashi. That's just me. Okay, that's my little pet peeve. I had to let it go. Right? Okay, let's move on. All right. So translations focus on conveying meaning. Transliteration focuses on representing the sounds of words from the source language in the characters of the target language. So that's why we have people with these different pronunciations, because they don't know what the original language sounds like, right? Because we're dealing with sounds. But if they really wanted to know what the sounds were, you would go back to the African language. You would go back to the Twi language. You would go back to the Khan. You would go back to these type of languages, right? But hey, some of y'all say I ain't no African. That's what y'all say. I ain't no cotton picking African. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Okay, whatever, right? All right. So the importance of transliteration, linguistics and communication. So it allows speakers of different languages to pronounce and recognize foreign words or names. So this is what happened, right? We go through all of these ups and downs. Oh, how do you say that? Right. And so, you got somebody who coming from Latin, English, Greek, French, whatever, and they're trying to pronounce your words in a different language, right? That's what's happening here. So a bridge. In essence, transliteration acts as a bridge between writing systems focusing on preserving how words sound rather than what they mean. So they're trying to preserve the sound. Now, be honest with you, if you think about it and you do the research, there was a conspiracy, right? There was a conspiracy called Psalm 83. So in some instances, it may have been where they were trying to maintain, right, the focus on the original words and their sounds and the pronunciation. But in other instances, it was a conspiracy, Psalm 83. Let's cut them off from being a nation that the name of Israel be no longer remembered, right? So they changed it. Like, for instance, you literally cannot transliterate a J. Right now, let's assume the original was, well, we're going to get into it, but let's assume the original was a Y. You got Yehuda, Yehudi, and stuff like we pronounce today. Ain't no way you're going to transliterate that into no J. I'm just saying. Okay. But anyway, so to me, that was on purpose. But hey, I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? All right. So the evolution. So we're going to talk about the evolution of the word Jew. So the evolution of Yahudah and Yahudim to Jews. The name Yahudah in Hebrew, and Yahudim, plural for Yahudim, meaning the people of Yahudah, have undergone significant transformations over centuries through the process of transliteration as these terms migrated into European languages. So as we migrated into European languages, these words started to change, right? Which is why we get Jew today. All right, so transliterations, unlike translations, seek to approximate the sounds of words in one language using the script and phonetic systems in another. So you trying to transliterate this from the, let's say, the original Paleo Hebrew, and you trying to bring it over into, let's say, Greek, right? Then, it starts changing. And they say what they want. They say what they want. And so by us having our identity stolen, and our culture and our heritage stolen, we didn't know. So we're trying to bring all of this stuff together. The problem is a lot of our people, especially on the camp side, say, I ain't no African. So they don't even look at the African languages, right? That's why they say shalom, peace, right? Which is a modern Hebrew term. When the original term was salam, closer to the Arabic and all of that, and the Aramaic, which is salama, right? And you have peace. So, they have different ways that they spell it. Some say ye, Y-E-H. Some say yah, Y-A-H, right? Once again, these are different translations and transliterations of the same word. But over time, through the translations and transliteration process, really the transliteration process, you have different words for the same people, like Yehuda with an E, Yehuda with an A, right? You have these transliterations. So different cultures, like let's say from the French to the Greek to the, whoever European culture, they may say Yah, some may say Yehu. And then we also have the Arabic, which, how the Arabs, they called us Yahudi, right? They say Yah, but they called us Yahudi, right? That's what the Arabs did, right? They called us Yahudi. So you're going to have it spelled different ways. Why? Because different cultures pronounce it different ways. So we're used to saying Yah, some may say Yeh, right? Which is, interesting that if you listen to Kanye and he calls himself Ye, you know what he's saying. Why? Because it's transliterations and people be calling him Ye and they don't even know what they be saying. You know what I'm saying? They be calling him by the name of the Most High, at least as a transliterated word, but people fall for it. Why? Because we don't know. We don't know. All right, so let's continue. European. So as European nations engaged with Hebrew text and incorporated references to the people of Yehuda, right? Yehuda with an E or with an A, okay, transliteration issues, into their cultural and religious frameworks, the original Hebrew pronunciations were altered to fit the linguistic rules of what? Greek, Latin, and all of the other European languages. So this process ultimately led to the modern term Jews, which bears little phonetic resemblance to the original Hebrew. Now we're going to talk about, even at that level, right, of these transliterations, there was a lot more transliterations going on. That's why you see different ways of pronouncing the same thing, identifying the same people. And that's why I say, don't worry about the YEH or the YAH, because it's all transliterations and dealing with phonetics, right? So the initial transition, Yehuda to Ayudes, or Ayudios, I'm sorry, Ayudios. So the earliest documented transliterations of Yehuda appeared in ancient Greek texts. Greek scholars translating Hebrew scriptures during the Hellenistic period rendered Yehuda as Ayudios for an individual and Ayudaio for the plural. This Greek form adapted the Hebrew sounds into Greek phonology, where the initial Y sound was rendered as I. Since Greek lacked a Y, so they didn't have a Y in Greek, they didn't have the Y consonant, the D sound of Yehuda was retained but softened, and the suffix ios was added to conform to Greek linguistics norms for ethnic and geographic names. So now you have the Greek pronouncing the same word, right? Yehuda, Yehudel, Ayudios, right? In the Greek, dealing with the same people, the same culture, traditions, all that, right? They're trying to identify our people, and they put it in their own language, right? And this is why we have all of the confusion today. And like for me personally, I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call us Judah, Yehuda, whatever, Yehuda, whatever you want to call us. You know, I do have a problem with Yawahashi because you make that sound like we Native American Indians. I'm just saying, right? That's just me. All right, so Latin. The Greek Ayudios was subsequently transliterated into Latin during the Roman period. So here we go with the Romans, becoming Judeos. Judeos in singular form, and Judai or Judai in the plural form. So Latin adopted the Greek structure, but introduced subtle changes such as replacing the IOU prefix with JU to align with Latin orthography. The shift from I to J was gradual, as Latin did not initially distinguish the two letters. So once again, we have this distinguish time out. We had to distinguish between the two letters. So once again, we're it's sort of like going through a filter. So we went through the filter of Latin, we went through the filter of Greek, right? And then we're going to go through another filter, which is English, right? So Judeos, the term Judeos, was used extensively in Roman legal and theological texts, solidifying its place in early European Christianity. As the influence of the Latin Vulgate Bible expanded, the term spread across regions where Latin served as the primary liturgical and scholarly language. So once again, when we're dealing with the Romans, right, they use the J, right? All right, so European variants. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Latin terms like Judeos were absorbed into vernacular languages across Europe. In Old French, Judeos evolved into Judaios or Judaicas. We've seen this before, right? In some of the old texts, especially the French, right? Judaics. Reflecting the phonetic preferences of early European languages, these terms preserved the JU prefix, but began simplifying the ending. So the French called us Judaics or Judaios, and we've seen that in some of the French documents on the maps and all these things when we were looking at our history and who they called us on the continent of Africa, right? And so why is this important? Because I'm going to show you what we really were called, and they sort of had it referenced, but it didn't give us the pronunciation of it. So we're going to talk about that. So Middle English, heavily influenced by Latin and Norman French, Judaeos and its derivatives evolved to, okay, now I'm going to say it this way because this is how we see it. The way we see this word is ayes, or like Jews, right? Or use with the Y. That's how we would normally pronounce it. But I'm going to show you how it's truly pronounced. See, when you don't have the culture and the traditions and the phonetics, you're going to use it based upon your current linguistics phonetics. So we would probably pronounce it as I use, but that's not how you pronounce it. But I just want you to understand is that's not how I am pronouncing it, even though that's the way it looks. So the introduction of the IE prefix reflected the gradual fusion of French and English linguistic patterns. During this period, the J and I were often interchangeable in writing and pronunciation. The emergence of Jews. By the 16th century, the standardization of the English, so we went through these filters. We went through Greek, right? We went through Latin, and we went through French, and now we're going through another filter, which is English, right? All of these affect how you pronounce it and our understandings across centuries, right? So by the 16th century, the standardization of the English language and the introduction of the printing press played a critical role in the transformation of the, I'm going to say I use for now because I don't want to give it away, the I use to Jews. Now, remember, I'm not saying I use is how you pronounce it. I'm just doing that based upon current phonetics and how we will see it right now, but that's not how you pronounce it. I just want to emphasize that. The letter J, which had emerged as a distinct consonant in European languages, began replacing I in many words. This change was partly phonetic, reflecting the influence of regional accents and the increasing use of the hard J sound in English. Jews. So the simplified form Jews became widespread in English-speaking regions after the 1611 King James Bible, which originally used I use, I'm going to keep it that way. The gradual standardization of English spelling during the subsequent centuries, alongside the increasing use of the distinct letter J, led to the modern term Jews. This change reflects the broader linguistic shifts of early modern English, shaped by the Protestant Reformation's emphasis on vernacular scripture and eventual adoption of the standardized English spelling conventions. Now, I want to show you something right quick. I'm going to come back to this. All right. All right. So I want to come back to this. And this is the 1611 King James, right? So this is how they spelled it. And we're going to stick with this pronunciation until I move further on, right? Because this pronunciation going to change. Acts 13:5, and when they were at Salamis, they preached the word of God in the synagogues of the Ius. That's how they would pronounce it today, right? Probably. Or the U's, however you want to do that, but that's not the correct pronunciation. And they had also Ion or John or Jan to their minister. All right, so we see here all throughout the 1611 King James how they were spelling Jews. What we would translate today or transliterate today as Jews, right? Based upon the English language. All right. So we're going to come back to where we were. All right. All right. So to preserve sound. So while transliteration seeks to preserve sound, the repeated alteration of Yahudah and Yahudim across languages distanced the name from its original Hebrew pronunciation and meaning. Now, okay, so let's continue. So Yahudah, derived from the root Yada, to praise, emphasizes the identity of the people as those who praise Yah. This connection is largely obscured in the modern term Jews, which has no etymological tie to the divine name in its English usage. So one thing we have to keep in our minds is that a lot of the understanding of the languages really has to do with the phonetics, right? And so like when we say Yahudah, Yahudim, right? Or Yahoo, right? All of this ties back to Yah as we pronounce it. But we're going to see that the I use is different than what, put it this way. Modern scholars and modern theologians want us to say Jews. At minimum, I use, but that is not the pronunciation. Why? Because the true pronunciation identifies the people. The true pronunciation identifies the people. So facts are facts. So Facts Are Facts, a book by Benjamin H. Friedman. Friedman, a former Jewish businessman who converted to Christianity, authored this work to present his views on Judaism, Zionism, and history. In the book, Friedman attempts to trace historical claims about the origins of the Khazars and their alleged conversion to Judaism, which he argues has implications for the identity of modern Jews. So right here, Benjamin Friedman was saying they're not the people. He was saying they're Khazarian converts, which is true. And now we know who the original Jews are and the original pronunciation is, because guess what? Benjamin Friedman tells you, and let's watch. We're going to see. So it's Ewe. So the 14th century English version of the Latin Iudeos, or Judeos, right, depending upon which filter we were going through, was pronounced Ewes in the plural, and Ewe, not Aye, or Jew, Ewe pronounced Ewe in the singular. Who are the Ewes? Who's pronounced Ewe? So Ewe, E-W-E equal the Ius, are the Ewes. That's the pronunciation of it. Not Jews, it's the Ewe. So this is from his book. He says, and remember, we're talking about Iudeos. How could they be expected to have known otherwise? They could not, and they did not. It was a new English word to them. The present pronunciation of Jew in English is a pronunciation acquired in the 18th century. The German language still retains the original Latin pronunciation. Jude, or Jude, is the German equivalent of the English Jew. The J in the German, Jude, is the German contraction and corruption of the Latin Iudeos. Remember, that means Jew. Just as the English word Jew is a contraction and a corruption of the Latin Iudeos, right? So a lot of our pronunciation comes from the Greek, comes from the Latin, right? Even some of the French, right? Reinterpretation of the scripture, because sometimes, you know, when you look at it, it seems to be purposeful, you know, the misunderstandings. All right. So the earliest version of the New Testament in English from the Latin Vulgate edition is the Wycliffe edition, published in 1380. In it, pay close attention. In it, Jesus is mentioned as one of the Ewes, pronounced Ewe in the plural and Ewe in the singular. So Jesus was not a Jew. Jesus was an Ewe. In the Tyndale edition of the New Testament, published in English in 1525, Jesus was described as one of the Ewes. In the King James edition, known also as the Authorized Version, published in 1604 to 1611, Jesus was again described as one of the Ewes, not Jews. Now I'm gonna come back to this because I want to show you something else. Okay, this is from a wiki, which is WIC wiki.org.uk. And it says the introduction of the word Jew into God's Holy Bible. In 1604, James VI, King of Scotland from his youth, became King James I of England, the first ruler of Britain and Ireland. Because of the growing animosity of James toward the Puritans, a leading Puritan spokesman, Dr. John Reynolds, proposed that a new English Bible be issued in honor of the new king. King James saw an opportunity to bring about a unity with the church service in the Presbyterian Scotland and Episcopal England, completed and published in 1611. The new Bible became known as the Authorized Version because its making was authorized by King James. It became the official Bible of England and the only Bible of the English Church. There have been many revisions of the King James Bible. The most important changes occurred in the 18th century. In 1762, Dr. Thomas Paris published an extensive revision at Cambridge. In 1769, Dr. Benjamin Blaney, after about 4 years of work, brought out another at Oxford. The latter work included much modernization of spelling, pronunciation, and expression. These changes were due to printing errors and spelling changes in many words. This update represents the exact words in the 1611 Bible First Edition. All right. So it says here, the early editions of the Authorized Version contained the Apocrypha, not because the translators believed. They listed 7 reasons why the apocryphal books were to be categorically rejected. And we know why they did that, really because it points to who the people are. But because the king asked that it be included. So instead of scattering the apocryphal books all through the Old Testament as the Reims Dewey and other Roman Catholic Bibles, they placed all of the apocryphal books by themselves between the testaments. All right, so we're going to go down here. Contrary to what most people believe, Shakespeare never saw the word Jew, nor did he ever use the word Jew in any of his works. The common general belief to the contrary notwithstanding, in his Merchant of Venice, first published in about 1600, Shakespeare wrote as follows: "What is the reason I am a Awe, had not an Awe eyes?" In Samuel Johnson's English Dictionary, 1755 to 56, words beginning with I and the new letter J are interspersed. There is no listing for the word Jew in either of his 1755 or 1756 editions. Although to Judaize is defined as to conform to the manner of the Jews in both. The corrected reissue of the 1933 edition of the Oxford English Dictionary lists the first published usage of the word Jew. Sheridan's 1775 play The Rivals, she shall have a skin like a mummy and a beard like a Jew. All right. In the King's Seraglio, the sultanas are permitted to employ different Jewish women about their ordinary occasions. In 1700, Bishop Patrick's commentary on Deuteronomy 28:37, better we cannot express the most cutthroat dealings than thus you use me like a Jew. The earliest version of the New Testament in English from the Latin Vulgate edition is the Wycliffe edition. In the Wycliffe edition, Jesus is there mentioned as one of the Aways. That was the 14th century English version of the Latin Iudeos and was pronounced Aways in the plural and Awe pronounced Awe in the singular, right? 1841 English Hexpla contains 6 English translations of the New Testament, arranged side by side for easy comparison and reference. The 6 English translations are the Wycliffe version, 1380, the first English scripture hand copied prior to Gutenberg's invention of the printing press in 1455, the Tyndale version, 1534 to 36, the first English printed scripture, and the Cranmer's Great Bible. All right, so let's skip down. In 1380, Wycliffe edition reads, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Airways, prior to the 14th century in the English language, adopted the Anglo-Saxon king together with many other Anglo-Saxon words in place of the Latin rex and the Greek basileus. The Anglo-Saxon also meant tribal leader. All right. So here we see that Yeshua was the king of the airways, not the king of the Jews. All right. So I think that's clear that the true pronunciation is not Jews, but it is Airways. All right, so let's get back here. All right, so Ewe. The Ewe people are an ethnic group primarily found in Ghana, Togo, and Benin, with similar populations in neighboring countries. They are part of the larger Geb-speaking communities, which include the Fan, the Aja, and other related groups. The Ewe language belongs to the Niger-Congo family and serves as a unifying factor for the group, although it has several dialects. So all of this comes together. As I told you, the Bible is an African book, right? And this is the Ewe. All right, so who are the Ewe's?
Hey guys, welcome back to another video of African history and culture. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at the Ewe people. Nestled in the West African region, the Ewe people have a rich cultural tapestry that spans centuries. Our journey begins in the lush landscapes of Ghana, Togo, and Benin, where the Ewe people call home. Known for their vibrant traditions, intricate rituals, and lively festivals, the Ewe tribe has become a symbol of cultural resilience and unity. The Ewe people are the largest ethnic group in Togo, and they tend to dominate the country, economically speaking. The Ewe people comprise of a number of clans or subgroups, such as the Anlo of Ghana and Togo, the Uwachi, Mina, the Aja, and others. The Ewe are closely related to the Fon people of Benin, but they tend to be distinguished by their historical resistance to the kingdom of Dahomey. The early history of the Ewe people is not really well known, unfortunately. According to oral tradition, the Ewe people began a gradual westward migration from Oyo in the Yoruba region of modern-day Nigeria in the 13th century. Despite this, archaeological evidence suggests that the Ewe had a longer and more continuous presence in the Ewe heartland of southern Togo. However, both of these may be true, as Ewe oral history may reflect the diversity within Ewe identity. With the existence of numerous clans or subgroups, one theory suggests that this oral tradition may have arisen during the 18th century, when oil came to overpower Dahomey and their neighbors in Togo. Ewe is a member of the Atlantic Congo branch of the Niger-Congo language family, spoken in southeast Ghana and Togo. It has several alternative names. It is part of the Gbe group of languages that also includes Fon, spoken in Benin and southwestern Nigeria, Jen, spoken in Togo and Benin, and 13 varieties of Gbe spoken in Benin. Listen to the Ewe language.
Oyo le Nigeria nyigbaji. Hevafu asara anyi le agbososome le Togo. Fe anyi hekle Ghana pe rejepe gome. Le Togbi anyi fe kpokplotela. Wova no ketu. Emegbela ovucho afima heyidaje alu.
All right, so they say that they migrated from Nigeria, but here's what they don't tell you is the oral tradition of the Ewe is that they came from the Nile Valley. Once again, go read my book. The oral tradition is that they came from the Nile Valley. Y'all know where I believe Jerusalem is, right? Y'all know where the Nile Valley is, right? Okay, well, let's continue.
Where we came from, we need, or when we want to talk about African spirituality, we need to find out the truth.
Some people saw the Bible, no, the book of Fufra, say, Nyaju. Asa, Akpa.
So now we're going to look at the true name of the Creator.
Okay.
this is where I would like to use the scriptures.
Awesome.
We will start off from, I would like everyone to read 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 8. In this scripture, Samuel invoked the God of thunder, lightning, and fire. This God of thunder, lightning, and fire, when you come to the Ewe-Pilo language, I'm using the word Pilo because it's one of the ancient languages, one of the oldest languages. The God of thunder is known in the Ewe-Pilo language as what? Yev. Yev. Now,
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there because I'll come back to that. Because he was saying that the God of the Bible is a God of thunder. Now, when you look at the scriptures from, like I always tell you, from an African viewpoint, which is tied to the whole traditions of the Afa and the Ifa of the Yoruba, right? Now, I know they got some corruption in there, but I'm just saying it ties to the biblical description of the ancient Israelites, right? The original Israelites. So he was saying that God, that's what they call him, right, is the God of thunder. Now, let's look at this right quick. He was talking about 1 Samuel. I think he gave the wrong verse. I think he said 12:8, but it's 17:18. It says, is it not wheat harvest now? I will call on Yahuwah to send thunder and rain, and you will realize what evil thing you did in the eyes of Yahuwah when you asked for a king. All right. Then Samuel called on Yahuwah, and that same day Yahuwah sent thunder and rain. So all the people stood in awe of Yahuwah and of Samuel. So he was called, according to the Ewe, is the God of thunder. All right. Exodus 19:16-19. On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet Yahuwah, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because Yahuwah descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. As the sound of trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and the voice of Yahuwah answered him. See, this image of Yahuwah is totally different than the image of Yeshua or Yahuwah in Christianity. Job 37:2-5. Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with the majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. Yahuwah's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. So the airways say that God is a God of thunder and lightning, right? Psalm 18:13-14. Yahuwah thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High resounded. He shot his arrows and scattered the enemy. With the great bolts of lightning, he routed them. All right. Psalm 29:3-9. The voice of Yahuwah is over the waters. Yahuwah, the God, the Elohim of glory, thunders. Yahuwah thunders over the mighty waters. The voice of Yahuwah is powerful. The voice of Yahuwah is majestic. So once again, tied to thunder and lightning. The voice of Yahuwah breaks the cedars. Yahuwah breaks to pieces the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon leap like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of Yahuwah strikes with flashes of lightning, right? The God of thunder and lightning. We even see that in Revelation 4:5. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. In front of the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. So once again, Yahuwah is associated with lightning and thunder, just as they say it, right? But you're not going to hear most of that in Christianity, okay?
after you finish, or we finish reading 1 Samuel chapter 12 verse 18, we go to Job chapter 37 verse 4 to 5. That also describes or gives you a clear understanding of who the God of thunder, lightning is. Then from there we can also read 1 Samuel chapter 7 verse 10. It also will give you a clear picture of who of how, or let me say, the true name of the Creator is. So now let's come back home to the Ewe-Pilo language. We in the Volta region, or when I say Ewe-Pilo, when I say we in Ewe-Danigba, when I say Ewe-Danigba, I'm not only talking about the Volta region, but I'm talking about 4 or 5 countries put together or more. You're talking about Ghana, talking about the people of Gadangbe. When I talk about the Gadangbe, our people from Greater Accra all the way to Osudoku attached to the Volta region, the Voltarians, Anglos, all the Voltarians. Okay, then our people in Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, the Yoruba, these are all part of the Ewe-Danigba. That is what was known as what? The Slave Coast. Then we have the Gold Coast, then the Ivory Coast. This is how the Europeans divided our land during the slave trade. So we as a vow, our God, let's say our Mawuga, is the God of thunder and lightning, and his name is who? Yever. Now, when we proceed, the Almighty said, and his people are called by his name. Mm-hmm. So if his people are called by his name, then his chosen priesthood nation must have a name. Mm-hmm. So now we've established the name of the Creator as Yever, mm-hmm, in the Ewe-Pilo language.
Yever, God of thunder.
God of thunder, lightning, and fire. Now, when we go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 10, it's also mentioned there that my people who are called by my name is there. Then from there we go to 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. It also starts, the paragraph starts, if my people who are called by my name. Now, this is Yever, the God of thunder, lightning, and fire. This is Yever. So how do you know his people? Which means if his people are called by name, it means that his people derive their name from his name. So from there, you have, what do you have here?
Eve.
Ever. That is ever.
So that's the same as saying Ewe, right? And Ewe is the same as saying Ewe. And we got to understand that each one of the tribes, even in the same area, they have different pronunciation for the same words. And some say Ewe Nigba, some say Ewe, right? Some say Yah, some say Onyakupan, right? All of the different tribes in the same area, and they all related. They all living in Ghana, surrounding areas, stuff like that. They got different pronunciations for the same term, just like we did when we were translating, had our languages or names translated from the Greek to the Latin to the, French to the English, right? So they sort of had those different pronunciations. So here we see Eve, right? But it's Ewe, right? So just let you know that.
Or a vowel referring to us, Evers. So, Yever,
God of thunder,
lightning and thunder. He has his own priesthood nation Yeah, that is the avowal.
Both away.
So I'm coming there. So that is why today, even from the ancient of days, even from the time the nation of Israel was there, the God of thunder and lightning was there. If you go to Nogokpo today, the God of thunder and lightning is still there.
It's still there.
It's still there. We brought it our ancestors.
On strike coronavirus, on striking Crawford.
Good. We will come to that.
Hurry up.
We will come to that. You've asked a very good question. Why is it not striking?
Kankwa no dan.
That be anya kankwa. No, anya kankwa.
Okay.
But you see, that is why I told you, to understand African spirituality, we need to redefine the Eurocentric concept of God, because their concept of God has nothing to do with our concept of God. For instance, when you go to First Samuel, I wish we have the Bible here. First Samuel, chapter 12, verse 8. There they say Samuel invoked the God of thunder and lightning. So until you invoke it, until you activate it and assign a specific role to him, cannot just get up and strike. In the ancient past, when
Yeah, so some of our brothers, they are long-winded, but that's just the way it is, right? That's how they make their point. You know, I mean, we go from A to B, but they take the long route. Just let you know. Now, I don't agree with all of the things he said, because some of his viewpoint, you got to understand, comes from a people who was not really associated with the New Testament, right? Who was not associated with Yeshua when he came and have understanding. They're mostly Old Testament, right? Which you have a lot of the traditions, like, you know, I've gone through many of the traditions that still exist in the African cultures that's in the Bible, right? And so they're more familiar with what we see in the old than what we see in the new. But a lot of the stuff that he's saying is accurate, right?
the Israelites were even going to war. It's a God of war. He goes to war. He strikes all his enemies dead. That is why today, up to today, people don't really understand why the God in the Bible in those days was striking people dead by lightning.
So that's the thing. And I'm telling you this right now. The God of thunder and lightning is going to be seen again. Our enemies are going to see the power of the Most High. They're going to be struck down, and you're going to see the power on high. I'm telling you, watch it. All of this stuff that we're seeing today that's happening with Russia and Ukraine and the West, you're going to see the Most High. The Most High said he's coming with outstretched arm and fury poured out. Can we say the God of thunder and lightning? See, this isn't Christianity here, right? This is the Bible. And Christianity is a religion that wanted to limit Yahuwah to what they wanted him to be and not for what the scripture says he is.
And thunder.
Okay. Please, Nufiala, let me ask this question. So are you saying that the God of Yever, God of thunder, lightning and fire, is it different from the creator God we know, or is the same person? Is it the same God that we Christians are worshiping? Because you keep quoting the scriptures.
Yes.
I want to understand that before I move to my next question.
You've asked a very good question, and I will quickly come to that. I will answer the question. The problem with us as a people is because we are borrowing somebody's eyes, somebody's concept to understand who the creator is. So the Europeans package, or let me say repackage, a concept of God for us, and we accepted it without questioning where the name God came from. Now, Yahweh, the God of thunder and lightning, is the same God. But you know what happened? Over the period of time, the name has been translated or called in a different way. The modern Hebrews or the modern Hebrew led by the Ashkenazi Jews call him what? Yahweh.
It's the same.
It's the same. It's, you see, when you translate, it's just, let me give you an example. I'm an Ewe. Let me say you are an Akan. And I saw a book written in the Akan language, and I realized that it is good. So I would like my people to also read it. So when in the translation, I have to use my culture, my tradition, my understanding of my people in the translation for them to understand. It's the same thing that took place. So from the original name, it was moved to Yahweh. It was moved to Yahweh. No, sorry. From there it came to what? Yahweh.
Hey.
You see, the word, this word, the yud, v, it's not in the English language. So
Now, just to emphasize, as I mentioned before, the Akan, they refer to Yahuwah as Yah or Yao or Inyame, right? So there's still these transliteration things even amongst the tribes, right?
so they have to replace it with what? V.
So onyankopon no tesoro ho no owa igbedin ena edin no mo fetiri din no so from Yahweh to
so from Yahweh, they gave the word Yahweh. Now, the modern Hebrews, or let me say the Ashkenazi Jews in the land of Israel today, who claim to be the chosen people of the Most High,
Who say they are Yahudim, who say they are Ewe and are not, but do lie. They say they Ewe, they say they Yahudim, but they lie.
came out with this modern Hebrew using these, their what alpha, whatever, B, and something. This is modern Hebrew. This has nothing to do with the ancient Pilo name of the Creator. It's totally two different things together. Now, if they claim, excuse me to say, if the current Ashkenazi Jews in Israel claim they are the children of the Most High, can you derive the name of the Creator from the name of their God? No. Israel, they call themselves Israelis. There's a difference between Israelites and Israelis. Moses and co, Job and co, they were all black people. They were not white people. And I'm going to prove it on your show that all these people are black people.
are they always?
I'm coming. We are coming to that place. So now, back to your question. In the ever-pilo concept of God, we have the duality of God. Now, or duality of the Creator. Let me stop using the word God.
All right, I'm going to stop it there, but y'all could go watch the rest. This is Mama Grace or Mame Grace or whatever, how you pronounce that. So we got to understand that, even as I was showing, is that Benjamin Friedman, who is a Ashkenazi Jew, states that the correct pronunciation of Jew is Ewe, right? That's Benjamin Friedman. He's an Ashkenaz. That the correct pronunciation is Ewe, all from what we used to term I use, right? But it's really Ewe, which shows that there's only one group of people on the planet called Ewe, right? And that's over there in Ghana. And so when they talk about the fact that there were black Jews or Jews on the continent of Africa, it was Ewe's. And so everyone knows who the Jews are. They knew who the Jews were. They called us black Jews, but remember it was transliterated. And remember, the Romans wanted to remove us from our land and to hide our identity. And I go through that in my book about how the conspiracy of Psalm 83 continues to this day, right? And the whole purpose is to hide who we are. Now, think of this, the fact that we have awakened at the end times, right? Don't worry, brother Asap. They ain't got much time left. But we at the end of the time, at the time that we've awakened, all of this truth is coming out and proof that we were known as the Airway and not Jews, right? And so we know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews. That's what they call themselves, right? Because it was transliterated as Jew from the Romans, from the Greeks, Latin, right? The French, all of that, all the way to English. But we know the blasphemy of them who tried to replace us, who say they're Yahudim, who say they're Airway, and they're not. They're not Airway. And if we go back to the original pronunciation, as Benjamin Friedman said, which is Airway, there's only one group of people, and that's the Negro. That's the only ones who are the true Yahudim or Jews or Airway. And so they know this. Everybody knows this. It's only the racists who reject this. But I'm going to tell you this, that the God of thunder and lightning is going to be showing up. The God of thunder and lightning is going to be striking people dead. The God of thunder and lightning is going to come and get his people with his arms stretched out, with fury poured out. He's coming. And everything that you see happening over there between Russia and Ukraine, I would say this, don't get scared, because I'm going to say this right quick. Just my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens over there, but that's not going to come over here right away. I think what's going to happen, just my theory, just a theory, is that one of them nukes going to drop, and that's going to cause people to come to the table for peace. And after the nuke drop, the whole world going to be scared, and they all going to come under a false peace. But then when they say peace and security or peace and safety, sudden destruction comes. So I think after that, we're going to have this culmination in the Middle East that's going to light up again. And according to 2 Ezra 15, they're going to come from the Middle East over here to Babylon. That's how I think it may play out. It may play out differently, but that's my guess, right? Like I say, I'm not a prophet, but I just try to reinterpret the scriptures. So we got to understand that everything they taught us is a lie, right? And we have to sift through and get to the truth. And as I stated before, a lot of our people have agendas as well, right? So when they say Yahweh or they say Yawahashi, well, is that even close to the phonetics that we see with the Bantus? Is that close to the phonetics that we see with the Airways? Is that close to the phonetics that we see with the Akan? Because that's where you're going to get the original language. Even if we talk about in East Africa, is it close to the phonetics that we see what they call the Ethiopian Jews? No, it is not. And so we, our people, mostly camps, they make up stuff. Right. And as we've said before, because we didn't know what the original sounds were, because we're dealing with phonetics, which deals with sounds, nobody knows. You can't say Yawahashi. The only reason they chose Yawahashi is because they get to include the Native American Indians. That's why. But now, when you have to prove who the people are, everybody goes where to prove who the people are? Africa. They don't go to Native American Indians to prove who the people are. They don't go to the Mexicans to prove who the people are. They go to Africa to prove who the people are. And we can prove who the people are from the scriptures, from the traditions, from the cultures, right? From the Afa religion, from the Ifa religions, right? Which is tied to the Old Testament practices, what they call today divination. I'm just saying. Go watch my videos on it if you want it in context. We got to understand that right now, we going back to where the Most High is going to reveal himself. The whole world going to know who he is, and they're going to know who his people are. That's what the scripture says, doesn't it? Surely you are the people that the Lord had blessed. They're going to identify you. They're going to identify you as the people of the book, and they're going to say, we hear that Yah is with you. We know y'all the Airways. They probably still call it Jews because that's what's stuck in everybody's mind. But we know y'all the Airways. We hear that Yah is with you. Can we come with you? Look, bottom line is this. I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to cut it. Ain't much time left. Y'all better recognize who the people are. Y'all better recognize we are the chosen of the Most High. Y'all better recognize that we the covenant people. Y'all better recognize we are the ones who Yeshua came for. I'm just saying, we're not taking anything out of context, right? If you really wanted to know, you could know. If you really wanted to know who the people are, get past racism and white supremacy, you could know. But some of y'all don't want to know. And some of y'all won't be here in the next few years. Why? Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. We at them times. Y'all know it. We got all that heat all them years. But we at them times. Times they be a changing. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Your captivity is ending, Israel. Understand that what we dealing with today is end times prophecy, right? End times prophecy. So, fam, if you like what we do, you can support us. You can become a patron. Go to tailministries.com. Go to the donations page. You can also still give Cash App, $TOTW7101. You could get through PayPal as well and support our ministry. Also, you can like, share, and subscribe. You can do that. Bottom line is, ain't nobody teaching you what we teaching you. Bottom line, it's a fact, right? So understand this. You got to bring it all together and you got to understand who the people are. And they're going to find out. They might find out when it's too late. I'm talking about the Gentiles. Because, they're still waiting on the rapture. They still think Armageddon going to happen in 4 years. They don't get it because they don't know. So, fam, that's all I got. Love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Like, share, subscribe, buy my book. Also, for those who bought my book, please go to the Amazon and give me a review. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to support the Dry Bones Project.